Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Stanrio. Welcome everybody to Final Fantasy XIV. Today I would like to talk about whether or not Final Fantasy XIV is going to be a good game to get into in late 2016 and early 2017. Aside from the big release of Stormblood coming in early June of 2017, I want to talk about other reasons why players might want to consider getting into the game, showing both good reasons and some of the concerns regarding the game and addressing those as I go on. As somebody who is already max level in Final Fantasy XIV and has already explored a lot of the content and is still catching up to the content from A Realm Reborn series, I want to make sure I address some of the issues players might have in the game, one of them being the payment model. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the few games out there that still has a subscription-based model. Most MMOs have switched over to either buy-to-play or free-to-play model, which allows players to just play freely with spending as little as no dollars whatsoever. With the amount of buy-to-play and free-to-play MMOs out there, it seems like a major winner for a lot of free-to-play MMOs compared to Final Fantasy XIV, World of Warcraft, or any other very rare cases of subscription-based model games out there. Since you don't really have to pay anything to play other MMOs, it feels like you're getting a lot more bang for your buck. The reason Final Fantasy XIV still has a subscription-based model is because it still provides top quality content for all types of players. In the recent patch, Final Fantasy XIV was able to release a story mode, a dungeon, a hard mode rework of a previous dungeon, a raid, and is able to release things like Wondrous Tales Journal, Palace of the Dead, and other great content that comes with the game. One of the best things about Square Enix, especially the Final Fantasy XIV team leading by Naoki Yoshida, is they put the money where the mouth is. Or better to say, put the money back into the game. Every single patch in Final Fantasy XIV is filled with plenty of story content and is geared for players that enjoy the story, enjoy rework of a dungeon, enjoy new raids, enjoy some PvP content, enjoy bonus stuff, enjoy rework of seasonal events that gets reworked and redone with a new story and new rewards year to year, as well as provide update to the systems and quality of life stuff to its players in general. With Final Fantasy XIV, I never felt like my subscription fee ever went to waste, and I've suffered through a lot of the content drought that was in Warlords of Draenor back in World of Warcraft. I hate that I have to bring up World of Warcraft in my videos. I hate that I have to bring up Warlords of Draenor in my videos, but this is the only example I have with having a terrible experience with paying for a game that didn't give me anything. With Final Fantasy XIV, it truly feels like I'm actually paying for the content and receiving the content that I paid for. It is great because it adds original stories, it adds new dungeons, it reworks older dungeons to be more exciting, it adds raids, it adds things like Wondrous Tales, the journal that you get from a little Mikota girl, or the Palace of the Dead, which is an amazing piece of content to run with friends or by yourself. So if you've been worried if the money is not worth it for Final Fantasy XIV, I'm gonna tell you that in my opinion, it is pretty worth it. If you haven't tried out Final Fantasy XIV, I would definitely recommend downloading the demo and playing it for yourself, or if you see it on sale for like $10 with the base game, get that, play it for a month, and then choose then to decide whether you want to follow along with the game or unsubscribe. Another concern that possible players may have is feeling left out. Heavensward expansion has been around for a while, and many new players might feel like they would be left out from the new content or from the content they're already doing because most of the players are doing the endgame stuff. And with Stormblood coming around, there's going to be even more slew of content for players to do. So why would they want to do anything lower level? Would newer players feel left out? Would they not have any people to work with? If you've been worried about that, you have nothing to worry about in Final Fantasy XIV. One of the best things about Final Fantasy XIV is that its systems and its mechanics are geared to reward max level players to play lower level instances, dungeons, raids, trials, whatever, and play with newer players. Furthermore, it has the accommodation system which encourages players to be nice to each other, and it also encourages teamwork. Final Fantasy XIV is a very cooperative and very teamwork based MMO. It rewards players that work together really well and makes sure that players that play together get to experience the content together and get to grow in levels together, become friends, eventually develop friendships, starting a free company together, bringing more people together in a free company, and overall developing a really nice community. I made a video about Final Fantasy XIV community over here in this card on the top right corner, so feel free to click that and watch the video. I pour my heart out all in that video, but I would suggest just watching the video and watching me pour my heart out about the Final Fantasy community. It is pretty something. Aside from that, Final Fantasy XIV has a mentor system which encourages players that are on max level to actually help and work with newer players, whether they want to get into dungeons, raids, whether they want to get into crafting, or just overall experience the game as a whole. And if you're worried about running out of content in Final Fantasy XIV, you have nothing to worry about. We have a lot of classes, multiple classes you can try out and level at any time, at any point. Even as early as level 10, you can start gathering more classes and start leveling all the classes. And aside from having multiple classes of one character in Final Fantasy XIV, there is also crafting and gathering, which is its own endgame in Final Fantasy XIV. Unlike most MMOs where crafting and gathering is simply a drag and drop and click in order to process a material or in order to create something, in Final Fantasy XIV, crafting is its own art. When crafting in Final Fantasy XIV, you can determine a particular quality of gear that a certain item may have. The better the quality, the better the gear does, and if you work hard enough, you can technically gear yourself out in the best possible gear as you level, or as you reach max level, you can start creating gear for lower level players and selling it for a good amount on the market board. And if you have nostalgia for things like Final Fantasy VII, there is also materia melting, which works in a very similar way, except rather than giving you abilities, it gives you increases on stats, and in its own turn also comes with its own really unique mechanics in order how to put together materia and extract materia from certain pieces of gear. Gathering alone is also another piece of adventure in Final Fantasy XIV, as you take a backseat from the battles and start exploring the gathering aspect in Final Fantasy XIV, as you gather multiple materials all across Eorzea. And the best part about it, every single class, whether it be battle, crafting, or gathering, has its own storyline to follow. Square Enix made sure that every single profession you choose and every single class you choose has a very unique storyline geared with it, so every profession matters, even in a narrative sense. Now that is a lot of work to put into crafting and gathering, especially in an MMO. In my personal opinion, Final Fantasy XIV goes far and beyond to make crafting and gathering feel really engaging and really fun. And aside from all the other good things I already mentioned, Stormblood should be coming out in early June, which will introduce new classes and new pieces of content for storyline and dungeons and raids and possibly PvP. And with Stormblood expansion pack coming out very soon, means the base game and Heavensward expansion for Final Fantasy XIV will be most likely going on sale very soon, so make sure to look out for the prices if you want to get a nice deal on that. Now before I finish the video, I do want to talk about some of the negative things that Final Fantasy XIV does have for particular players, particularly the PvP players. If you want a fast-paced, high-octane action in PvP, Final Fantasy will most likely not be for you. Final Fantasy XIV's PvP is not as solid as its PvE, but it's not bad either. In Final Fantasy XIV, every move that you do and every ability that you use counts immensely, which means if you mess up your rotation or use a wrong ability or you get stunned, you could possibly be heavily punished in PvP battles, which makes them really clutch close. It's like a very intense game of chess. In PvE it works really well because players are able to make the moves in no rotation and are able to react to the mechanics that the bosses do. But in PvP, you're facing against other players who also have unpredictable set of moves, so it feels more like a very intense game of rock, paper, scissors with chess. I will say that Square Enix is working really hard to bring in more PvP content to Final Fantasy XIV, and it takes player feedback seriously. There are a lot of communities for PvP in Final Fantasy XIV if you want to find some of the free companies and servers to play on, so if you want to try the PvP out for the game, you're more than welcome to. Just don't expect anything high octane or too actiony. And last but not least will be the combat of the game. I understand that a 2.5 global cooldown, an average global cooldown of 2.5 seconds in an MMO is pretty slow, but I actually made another video regarding that, which should be in the card on top right. I will talk about it right now in this video, but I explained it in more detail and explained my full point of view in the video, which is perfectly summarized within the video, so make sure to check that out. Nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you consider getting into Final Fantasy XIV. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments section below, and me or any of the Final Fantasy XIV players out there will gladly answer it. Thank you so much for watching, I really hope you enjoyed. My name is Stamriel, like, subscribe, and as always, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Hey there everybody, how's it going? My name is Final Fantasy. My name is Final Fantasy. Why is that so funny?